Today we have a booming topic. We're gonna hit it hard. We're gonna give you some serious info. We're gonna talk about how do you settle dispute in the barbershop? How do you handle a disgruntled client? What are some of the steps that you can take to de-escalate the situation? How you can get back to normalcy? Because if your day goes terrible, it affects the whole shop. We're gonna talk about that. Give some good insight. My special guest in tow, my co-host. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and then we're gonna go shoot into the guest speakers. They're quiet right now, but they're gonna come with some pain. These brothers love to talk. I think one of them got an Energizer battery in his back. He's never stopped talking. But let's go. We'll go.
Shoot, my brother.
Am I your barber? Happy to be back on the show. Back again. 2 guests.
Yo, this is AJ.
That Barry White voice.
Here you go. Hey, the ladies love it. The ladies love it.
Hey,
My name is AJ.
Let's stay on topic.
Crown Cutz Academy of Bristol, representing the house. My brother Craig Charles is my homie from way back. So I'm here today as a guest. Hopefully I can come on the show a lot more and see y'all, talk to y'all wonderful peoples.
Oh yeah, give some insight. Your insight is available, Mr. AJ.
Now we got King Mike.
Let that man introduce himself. That's what he's here for.
Yeah, this Mike Kincaid, man, aka ATL the barber. You know, we trying to stay fresh up in here. You already know what it is.
Yes. And for all the guests, if you have any questions that you would like us to answer firsthand, just shoot us a comment, question, concerns, and we'll get you. Again, thanks for my man Lathan over here. He's taking care of us for the past how many episodes? We're close to 50 right now. So Market Street Media, shout out again to our other sponsor, Colossal Brand, going live again. Check him out. Jay's doing some great things with his apparel. So let's jump into this banging topic. So when you guys hear about workplace drama or anything that's going to make it easier for clients, for workers, for customers, for staff, whatever it may be. I think this topic right here could range so many different ways, and it can cover so many different jobs, so many different workforce, work field, any type of things that you do. How do you settle disputes? When you hear about settling disputes, it's going to happen. What do you think about, Mike?
Well, in general, I'm just trying to handle disputes between, like, who are you speaking of?
People coming to the shop. That's what we keep it, because it's so broad, but we keep it in the barbershop.
Just customers in general.
Customers in general.
Okay, well, I mean, I try to pull them off to the side. And
We gonna give that info, but I said when you think about it, when you hear that coming, what comes to your mind?
oh, I mean, just maybe a bad cut or something like that.
All right.
You know, they just upset. They didn't like the way it turned out or something like that.
Sometimes people just come in with something that's preconceived before a bad cut, but we'll talk about that.
Right.
Or they got a bad day at work and coming in and they just are unhappy, period.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it could be a lot of things. You know, that's why I always try to lighten the mood with my client. I try to crack a smile, lighten the person's day, you know, enjoy their time while they're with me in my chair.
Right.
So, but if they come in with a bad attitude already, they gonna say, "Oh, my cut's bad." Maybe and particularly, maybe that client's been with 2 or 3 different barbers in the shop and they ain't never happy. So they just might be that type of person.
That's true.
So, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it could be anything. Bad day at work, wife didn't cook dinner.
I think about not just the client side. The client side, I think, is the easiest part. I think the hardest part is like your coworkers, the people you're sometimes if 2 of y'all ain't jiving, the whole shop feels it. The whole shop,
right.
The whole building.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's what we're going to talk about. Like I said, it's such a broad topic. So we're going to talk about handling disputes with clients, customers coming in, handling disputes with staff, with your coworker. All those things are important to make the day go well, because what end up happening, you could affect your reputation,
Mm-hmm. Real fast,
your income,
That's a big. That should be the first one. Your income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you worried
and,
about.
and the vibe of the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to work with these people every day. You can't come in with. I mean, to me, you providing a service not just to your client, but with the other barbers too, because y'all gonna have to mesh.
You do.
You know what I'm saying?
But
So
some people don't know how to handle those situations, and what end up happening is you might lose a client in a case where it is a customer, or if it's a coworker where they might feel uncomfortable coming back to work, taking some days off where you're gonna lose some money, and that's just. So I feel as a student in barber school, because this is called Barber College Success, we have to start off on the right foot, know how to handle certain situations, how to make the environment best for ourselves, our client, and the shop. Those things are critical because that's the place that's going to feed you.
And I think everybody that if you've cut hair for long enough have been in every situation. You know, sometimes you got to fire clients. Sometimes you got to tell a client, listen, man, I ain't this. You know, I've talked to you. We try to work it out, and I just might not be the one for you. You might have to try somebody else out. You know, so, or just, and if you're not a controversial person, finding ways to deal with situations that might not be easy for you. And I think that's one thing when people don't realize they come into the industry of dealing with people, that sometimes you'll have to handle confrontation,
Right.
and people handle that different ways. So,
right. I mean, hey, you're right about that. I would just ask them, hey, maybe it's not all right for me and you. I mean, that's the only thing you can do, really.
but when do you how long of a leash should a person get? How long do you think they should enter?
I mean, if I've cut their hair 3 times and they don't like my cuts by then, or even if they do sit in my chair again, because a lot of times the client ain't gonna say nothing to you. They just not gonna come back to you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it all depends on the client, or hey, if I mess up on your hair, don't worry about this time, and let me try again next time.
Yeah,
To see if we can't come to a common ground and I can satisfy your needs and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's the way I would do it. But if they're really, really unruly and want to upset the shop and the other customers and the other barbers in there, hey, look, man, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
So the most important part of the haircut, and you guys know, is the consultation. The consultation is so critical. It is it's I can't put the importance of a consultation on a haircut, because you're going through the consultation. Yeah, that's you. You can drink that. What's your tonsils look like, Mike?
Hey, I got to check real quick.
So the consultation is so important because you can feel the temperature of the client. You can feel the temperature, how they walking into the situation, and it gives you opportunity to see the haircut and see what's going on through a typical simple conversation. That is so important, and that's why I think starting out when you're a student, when the client comes in, you should go out there to greet the client, greet them with a smile. That's number one.
Always.
Greet them with a smile and say, hey, my name is such and such. What is your name? And then you start from there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just have them just come straight into the business establishment and just sit down in the chair without having that dialogue from
the door to the chair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got to acknowledge them, man. Because if you don't, they don't feel comfortable right off the rip.
that's so important. And even
It's kind of breaking the ice too.
it is, but you think that's so simple, but a lot of people forget those things. Even as far as like going into the shop and someone walks into the shop and they just sit in your chair and you have your headphones on. You can't build no relationship. You can't have a proper consultation with someone if you're distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not your client,
Even if it's not your client.
even if it's somebody else's client, because one day so and so might be out and you're gonna have to step it up. You're gonna have to show out for your he might need a wedding haircut or something important. And
Because-
Right. And if you didn't speak to him, then they're just gonna be upset. I'm like, I ain't going to him. He just looked at me and kept going what he was doing.
One practice that we used, and I use for students a lot, I often engage with the client and the student at the same time, just to kind of build the bond a little closer. The student introduced himself. He said, hey, how you doing? My name is such and such. And I say, hey, sir, how you doing? Thank you. You're going to one of our best students. Just reassuring, giving the client some more confidence. After I give him that confidence, it's up to you.
Right. You gotta take the ball and run with it.
Yes.
For sure. You can't come up half step. We trying to do a Hail Mary.
And then it's also important too sometimes to
For
give
real.
students confidence while they cutting hair. Hey man, just walking by, that haircuts look good. You're doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
A subtle little remark. Those things help reassure the client, and it reassures the students as well. Confidence.
And when they leave too, also try to compliment them on the haircut.
Of course.
So when they walk out the door, they walk out the door with that feeling that they've done something, they've bettered themselves that day.
And those habits will take you on into the shop too. When someone comes in, he might come for AJ, he might come for you and I'm saying, hey, how you doing, sir? Thank you. Welcome for coming in to Crown Cutz. And that just gives the client a little bit more reassurance. And then AJ will do his rest. But as other barbers working with you,
You know that.
other barbers working with you, you just, hey, thank you for coming in and helping us out. We really appreciate you stopping through. AJ got you. You're in good hands like Allstate.
I know you just didn't steal my line, Craig.
This
I
guy
know
right-
you just didn't
this
steal
guy-
my line.
This guy right. Ain't
I
no
know
lie.
you just didn't steal my line.
Right, you know AJ. Hey man, you know how AJ is.
Already.
Craig, you gonna maybe come across the table, Craig. We about to handle this dispute real quick.
This guy right here.
Conversation wise.
No furniture moving. Furniture moving.
This guy right here. We talking about
Lathan, hey, I'm sorry. What's about to happen?
How's that Allstate slogan but it's your line?
Hey man, me and
I think you got
Allstate,
some copyright problems anyway.
me and Allstate got an understanding. Okay, I'm like, what's that dude off of State Farm? What's that dude's name?
I don't know.
Oh, God
Let's stay on track. We
All
can
right,
jump
all
off of this and we can get to something that we don't need to get into.
all right. Go ahead.
But as we were saying, just that reassurance, because we're gonna role play here in a minute, and we're gonna talk about it. How do we handle this situation? What's the best way fit? And I'll throw a couple scenarios out there, and I'll let you guys handle it. But I think it's important, again, just that reassurance. 5 people working in the shop, or you have 15 students at school that day, a client come in. I don't see it as a problem if everyone says hello to the client. I say, how you doing today? Thanks for coming in. Those things just add reassurance, because when you do that, it lessens a lot of the problems that could come later.
Are you talking about like while they're in the chair? I say, how you doing today?
The whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah, when they walk in.
Well, I mean, I don't want to come in between the barber and the client that's doing the service, because I think that's throwing the barber off. Depending on how comfortable the barber is with you coming up there and talking to that client. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I mean, I'm not a simple "Hey, how you doing?" is not really gonna mess up his. If that's messing up that dude's vibe, he shouldn't be cutting hair right now.
But the way I feel is like you walk into a shop and they're sitting there in their chair and they on their phones and they just look up, don't even say nothing. You like, oh, I don't even want to be in here.
right.
You know, it's like just a simple, hey, how you doing? Somebody be with you in a moment.
Right. And that's it. And people just want to be acknowledged.
Right. That's
It's not
all.
it's not having the whole 10-minute conversation with someone else's client or one in the chair with an individual barber. Just saying, hey, how you doing today?
I've seen people, and this is by accident. We weren't trying to be rude, but I've seen people that's walked in and nobody say nothing to them and just
walk right out.
walk right out. It's happened a couple times, and it wasn't because none of us. We might have been so focused on that. It wasn't just like we didn't like the dude. It was just like we were busy and focused on something else. But then and honestly, after the last time that happened, I've made a point to say hello to everyone that comes in the door, because I don't want to see people, because that just builds a bad reputation without even a haircut, just walking in there. You cannot say hello to them, say don't like the vibe, and leave.
Exactly.
One of the key things you see on review that people leave, they'll always say the environment was friendly, the staff was friendly and nice.
Yeah.
They didn't say the individual was friendly and nice. If it's a group of people working, they say the staff was friendly and the environment was nice.
Facts.
So that's what you're trying to create. That's what you're trying to create. You're trying to create a friendly, welcoming, nice environment.
Because whether you like it or not, wherever you're at cutting hair, that the reputation of that place is going to be your reputation.
Exactly.
So you're responsible. And even if it's just in the school at the time, they say, oh, go up there, because that brings more clientele and that gives y'all more repetitions. That that brings more, can bring more resources to the school to provide more services. And you gotta act. And that's how I thought when I first started cutting hair. It was like, I gotta put the barbershop on my back. Like, no matter what, I'm gonna be here on time. I'm gonna have a good reputation. and that's how I think like
It
with the
bodes well for
school.
everybody.
Exactly.
And most of all, have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. Yeah, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it.
Facts.
So
You gotta have
now,
fun.
so someone comes in. Let's get to a situation. Someone comes in, Mike, and they're just balls to the wall, angry, and the haircut is finished, and they just balls to the wall, angry, and just riling up, and seeing their nose snarling up, like some people, like you got snot coming out their
I mean,
nose.
I'm asking what's going on, try to have a conversation with them, trying to see if I can make their day better. If not, pull them off to the side and be like, anything I can help you with. If they still angry about that, it's like, man, then you know what? Don't even worry about the cut, man. Cut's on me. I just hope your day gets better.
And keep it that simple.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Am I?
I think that's the same. That's all you can do. I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's perfect, and then you have the internet with the photoshopping. They got the enhancements, so clients have unreal expectations for haircuts.
Facts.
And I wish I had there's this blonde hair, blue eyed boy. I seen more pictures of him than I seen of my own son. And then women bring him in like, make my kids' hair look, and I'm like, ma'am, we can only do. He doesn't
even got that same kind of hair.
He don't have LaMelo Ball's hair, man.
Yeah.
Like even if he gets a perm, I'm not gonna be.
Not even the color of hair, but the
Yeah.
texture of hair, but the complexion of the skin affects the haircut too.
For sure.
Facts.
So you can't just think you're as dark as me and said you want a LaMelo Ball haircut.
Exactly.
Or you want, I mean, I've had it several times when this guy came
It's gonna
he's
look like a Jerry curl.
yeah. He wanted to look like Will Smith. I'm like, he ran me a Will Smith picture, but your head is wop.
There's a dude that
Yeah.
there's a dude that came in and he was going bald, and his wife gave him a picture of Thor and sent him in there with the picture of Thor and said, "Hey, can you make my hair look like this?" And that was rough. It was a hard conversation. But then sometimes you gotta have those. You gotta be realistic with your clients.
Yeah, bro, you ain't got no hair. I'm just saying.
I mean, yeah, you have to tell clients when to let it go, when they have that the U around the top of their head.
Sometimes you need to let it go.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's a serious situation because a lot of times people don't know how to handle scenarios like that. And one key thing you brought up, Mike, is take them away from the situation.
Yes, always. Always. At least off to the side, behind, maybe in the office or something, or outside the door,
Right.
But don't leave it in the shop where everybody's getting distracted by people turning and
Yep.
looking at it, and like it creates a whole nother thing because then they think you're calling them out in front of everybody. Try to get them in a private place.
What other things do you suggest that we can do? Am I, AJ?
I mean, me, I might have somebody cry on my shoulder or something,
I
Yeah.
mean, but think about it. Not being funny, but someone might take that offensive.
Yeah, you
That
right.
you're mocking the situation.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
when someone takes something offensive like you're mocking the situation, they can go to 10 quicker.
I'm always like go happy, lucky, I give off that vibe, that warm feeling, but if I see that, I'm be like, pull them up to the side and, ask them how their day's doing. If they're a client of mine and being real faithful, what's a free haircut that can make somebody's day go from 1 to 1,000? You know what I'm saying? And that consultation between you and your client and vibing back and forth and talking about whatever's going on, I've heard you say this plenty of times. A barber wears many hats.
Of course.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? So,
But there's sometimes even when you're happy go lucky, even if you do something that you don't intend for it to happen, or the way that you say something comes across is rude to some people, and if they don't know you, especially first time clientele.
Yes.
So I mean, and there's been situations where
Sarcasm is not the right time in certain situations a lot of times, especially the first time client.
no,
or even someone who sometimes, because it could really be going through something at that time where sarcasm is not the ideal thing.
So a lot of times people just aren't on the same wavelength that you're on, and you just gotta, if somebody then okay, good. But somebody that you're dealing with, you gotta try to be, I say be empathetic, not sympathetic.
Right.
So situation.
And if you see someone voice is getting louder in a situation, and like we just discussed, pull them to the side. But the key thing is you never meet them with their pitch. If their pitch is higher than yours, you should never go above their pitch. Go ahead.
My favorite, I like when I think about dealing with customers. I always think about Roadhouse. You ever seen it with Patrick Swayze, Roadhouse?
Mhm.
It's anyways, and he's a bad dude, and he tells him, he's like, "What do you do if somebody swings?" He said, "Be nice." He said, "What if they swing at you? Be nice." He said, "Well, what if he said, you be nice until it's time to not be nice?" So always, no matter what's happening, try to take the high road. We go high.
Try to de-escalate
That's
the
right.
situation.
Because we own a business. It's our reputation. So at the end of the day, you always want to try to go higher.
Because 9 out of 10 times, if someone voices real high, if you drop your pitch 10 times below theirs, where they have to ask you, what did you say? They'll drop their voice.
Especially if they know they're embarrassing themselves. in
Yeah.
front of people.
Yeah.
And you just drop your tone and be real calm and mellow. You drop your tone, they'll drop theirs. But if
Agreed.
you go on toe for toe with them and trying to, you've made this situation uncomfortable.
Worse than what it should have been.
Worse than what it should have been. And then you have a problem now. Houston, we have a problem. So there's strategic ways to handle situations. And what else? What other ways would you handle?
The particular situation, just like with an angry person.
Mhm.
I mean, there's also a time where, I mean, you should always try to take the high road, but at some point in time, you know, if people continue to escalate, you need to remind them that they do not have to get their hair cut here.
Facts.
And then it gets to that. Sometimes it's gotten to that point with me before, and I had a conversation like, listen, if you don't like what I'm doing, you know, I appreciate you coming here, but if you're going to act like this, then there's no point in you coming back because I can't make you happy.
I can't service you.
Thanks.
And that's a great way to handle things.
But at the same time, that's a heartbreaking conversation to have with someone.
It's business.
You know,
and you
I know
them to the side.
I know it's business.
It's a difficult situation at times. If you have that situation and that conversation in a crowd with everybody watching, and someone who could probably potentially throw gas on it. So that's why it's essential to pull them to the side.
Facts. And then also you don't want to seem like other people in the shop looking at you like you weak or something like that too. Cause you know, some people got that feeling too. It's like, oh, he just gonna let him punk him out like that. And
Right.
like,
So you avoid all those scenarios, all those situations where you bring someone, you can lower the tone of the conversation, where you could offer them a gift certificate, offer them a free haircut, offer them something, or even a gift certificate to a restaurant or something just mild, just to kind of dilute the situation.
bro, as far as we going, it's like, man, you can get this free cut or you can get out.
Right.
Man, I ain't
But
doing
then
that.
but then you could also be like,
I ain't feeding you too.
but you can also like you said, hey man, I've tried my best for you and I don't think I can service you.
If it gets to the point to where if it feels like I'm going to escalate,
Yeah.
dealing with you, then that's it. Because I love what I do. I love to be here. And if I dread talking to you or cutting your hair, then there's no reason for me to keep doing it because it's
that's too much static,
it's not comfortable
man.
for me. It's not comfortable for me cutting your hair. It's not comfortable for you, me cutting your hair. So
Yeah, you might think about doing something to that person's hair.
no, I never do that.
No, because you're a professional.
I'm
You
just-
wouldn't-
Right.
you wouldn't-
I'm just messing with you.
What-
No, that's my
That's
artwork.
another thing I was thinking about though, because I mean, you want to offer him that, but would you want to offer him, you know, you could go to like say like AJ. It's like, you know, you could try them, you know, if you didn't like me, or would you just be like, well, I just can't service you anymore?
That's a good point.
That's a good
I would
point.
also offer people in the shop before they go to different barbershop. If it's just like a quality thing,
Right.
then I would first recommend people in the shop just to keep the money flowing because you want to look out for everybody else. But that's a good point.
Yeah, but then also, you know, like say if I take them to AJ and AJ already knows how the client is.
I mean, I
You know,
want them.
Yeah, but some people might be like, he got an attitude. Be like, man, I just need to go somewhere else.
But that's why you need to talk to them too, because
Yeah.
AJ might be okay listening to his mouth because he tips 20. You know, he tips $15,
Facts.
but you might
Facts.
be the money might not mean nothing to you at that
Yeah.
point.
Nah,
And-
man, no amount of money is the worst. Listen to someone's mouth like that. You know,
or have a bad vibe in your shop.
Yeah, of
right.
course.
It's not because all your barbers is on that certain vibe of when somebody walks in, hello, how you doing? And then see them through the glass of the door, like, oh man, here come this dude.
Oh, facts. Oh,
For real.
God.
You be like, oh God, here come this dude. We got to deal with this. Then then you, Mike, I am, Craig, because everybody's gonna tense up because we don't know what this person's going through.
Well,
Got people running to the bathroom like,
Yeah.
nah, I ain't gonna do it.
You know what I'm
well, you
saying?
should never let someone else dictate your emotion to the point where they have you walking on eggshells. That's not fair to yourself. That's not fair to the people you work with. If it gets to that point, yeah, unfortunately, that person needs to go somewhere else to patronize another barbershop. Recommend another barbershop around the corner.
So,
something.
so does that okay? If it gets to the point, at that point, is it something that you should have a conversation with the shop owner about first before you cut somebody off? Just so is that something you should go forward to the business owner?
Of course, I think that's
a good
something. I think that's something
that's
that
a good idea.
that you can bring forward to the manager or the person who owns the business, so it can help you sell the dispute even better. Because a lot of times when you sell a dispute one-on-one, it's your word against their word. If you bring someone in to mediate the conversation, at least to help out, so it won't be you saying something or they saying something, that it will be on record that, okay, I've heard MI was really concise with this guy, apologetic, and he gave his all and gave his best. And now this guy right here, he wasn't having it.
And
So
then-
you have someone else to back you up. But if it's just you and him, then it's just your word against his word.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Craig, real quick. What's the live?
Market Street Media.
Market Street Media?
Yes, it's on Facebook.
Okay. Because some people were asking,
Yeah, tell them Market Street Media on Facebook. And if they have any questions, send it to Lathan and he'll hit us up and we'll answer the question as best as we can.
What about dealing with a fellow coworker? Is there a different process for that than it would be for
I mean,
clients?
It is, and it's not. Because with a fellow coworker, you don't want to have no disputes on the floor.
Of course.
In school or in the shop. So that's something that you can pull them to the side as well. Use the same tactics, drop your tone. Hey, let's go have lunch and talk about our expectations, what we expect of each other, and what's the problem.
It just takes both people being adults
Yes.
to try to handle it.
Yes.
But you, like you say, it says that seems easy or simple, but
it
sometimes
does.
it's not.
And that's why we're having this podcast, so we can offer some insight and offer some advice, some solutions to some of these things that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people understand, once you interrupt your reputation, interrupt your income coming in, and the vibe around you, that's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
That is,
and plus, if you're like me, anything I do in life with my hands, or truck driving, welding, on to cutting hair, you're gonna pour your all into your client.
Mm-hmm.
And it hurts me just even talking about something that had to come to that level of me telling my client or a client not to come back, or have to have that grown man conversation with, when that's I just want to have fun and cut your hair and vibe with you. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what we're talking. I mean, when
You
you
know,
lose that feeling, which it'll probably
you know-
happen if you cut long enough, it'll probably happen. When you lose that feeling, just try to. I mean, what do you want to keep making yourself miserable to deal with somebody, or do you want to go ahead and handle it and take that stress out of your life? And some people can't handle conversations. Some people will let that eat them up until maybe they get so tired of it they quit cutting hair.
Yeah, the tough conversations have to happen.
Yeah.
But when those conversations happen, you have to maintain your level head. You can't go into the conversation being disrespectful and being taking the overs and expecting the other person who you have that problem with to understand. You have to be concise. You have to come in level head. You have to come in. And again, I think sarcasm is some things that needs to be out of the scenario when you try to handle disputes.
Most definitely.
Because if you come with sarcasm, a lot of times sarcasm is just
it's interpreted different by different people.
It is. And some people take it as the truth. Do you really mean that, or are you really being plain?
Yeah.
Right, especially when they're upset.
Yeah, especially when they're upset. You're so on point with that, especially when they're. So I think it's important to always lower your tone.
I agree.
I think it's always important to pull that person to the side.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you.
Go ahead.
It ain't always easy as well. I mean,
No, it's not. Especially if you care about the person, like me and you. Like I love Craig. Craig is like a brother to me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do anything for this dude. But he, that conversation, man. Like me and him, like I can never see myself getting mad at him. Not necessarily mad, but not be able to talk about our situation, what we got going on, or what's going on.
And I got friends like that.
But
And
everybody's not like that. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna run into some people, especially clients, that you have to be able to be like, hey, I understand.
And the barbershop is my sanctuary, and I be like, because it's my business, it's how I feed my family. And I have friends that I won't make appointments for, because why? Because they take me for granted. They won't show up to their appointments, so they gotta catch me on a walk-in.
Right.
Because this is where I eat. It's how I feed my family. And as much as I care about our friendship, I'm not gonna let it ruin what I've built for myself and my
you
family.
can't let it jeopardize it.
Exactly. Exactly. And and thankfully I got friends that are understanding and not willing to burn that bridge. But sometimes, you gotta make decisions.
You got a few of them.
You gotta make those hard decisions.
And it's important to be a great listener as well.
But your time is valuable. That's good, Emma. You can't let your friends dictate your business.
Yeah.
Like you say, where I eat and feed my family, etc., etc. That's good.
It's important. It's important.
And sometimes when people like that, like you said, like that, when your friends see you growing, they just want to throw salt and just cause havoc. You know what I'm saying?
And like I said, your time, like Craig said, your time's important. You want to focus in on your time, and every hour. I try not to think I work by the hour, but so that's how it ends up being sometimes.
Right. Yeah, I think this, and what we're talking about is it just doesn't really apply just to barbers.
It's life
or school. It's just life overall.
Mm-hmm.
It's just life overall. And a lot of the principles that we have talked about on the podcast, it goes back to life.
Especially on the job, any job.
And
how you raised. I'm
Facts.
telling you like it is. How you raised goes a long way, for real.
But then again, you have to be an active listener.
Well, yeah.
You have
most
to go into
definitely.
situations, because if you go in a situation where it's just your word against his and nobody's listening, no one is getting the point across.
You're right, but in that situation, what you just said, Craig, is like I feel like that if I had to take it to you as the manager and the shop owner, I would always take the low road. Like, look, Craig, this is what happened. I'll take the low road.
Well, you taking the high road.
Huh?
You taking the high road.
Well, I'm just saying, do whatever you got to do to make that customer happy. But I'm just saying, I'll take the heat. You know what I'm saying? But if you know your barber, like you like, nah, I don't see this happening in your head.
Well, the
you know
thing
what I'm
is,
saying?
right, what I've always learned, you should never apologize for something that you didn't do wrong.
Well, you're right about that, but there's
difference between taking the high road and apologizing when but if you didn't do something wrong, you shouldn't apologize if you didn't do something wrong. There's ways to take that, but don't sit there and be apologetic to someone. You can listen and off, but don't never say, I was wrong, my fault. It's ways to handle certain situations.
There's people out here scheming to get free haircuts.
Right.
That's happened plenty of times, and I've seen it happen.
So,
and it's real. It's
Wow.
a real thing.
So you can be like, hey, man, I can't. I'm sorry you feel this way, but hey, this one's on me.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. If you come back, you come back. If you don't,
no
you
sweat.
get if you come back and I cut your hair in the same way, and you still got something to say, it's not going.
Or if it happens like every other time, it's like one minute you're happy, the next minute you're not. It's like you know
your limit. Everybody has their limit. Everybody's limitations are different. Everybody's your limits.
From my experience,
that's what I was going to ask you. How many clients have you had over the years, from you having 2 barber chairs to you having 4 and 5 barber chairs? How many clients have you had to tell not to come back or try a different barber?
It's minimum, because again, the key for me is my communication, and I tell everybody, you're not going to beat me in communication. You're not going to beat me in people to people personable skills. You might be able to cut hair better than me, but you're not going to beat me in that. And that's what has kept my reputation with my clients solid for years. It comes down to communication, how personal with your clients, how you meet them from the door to your chair, how you remember their first name and their last name and their middle name and their birthdays and their kids' names and their dog names and their family members' names. You remember when they went on vacation last year, the year before, those things, that's solid to people. And then if you don't know that person, but be able to talk about something, having a common ground with them. If you meet someone from Australia, know that the Olympic game was in Sydney one year. So you can talk about that. Because that's going to make them happy that you know something about their country.
And I had that conversation with Miss Dell sitting in class, and I was honestly thinking about a situation. I'm like, what happens if I want to fight if a student, like something happens and they want to have an altercation with me? And I hit that realization, just watching Miss Dell teaches, you actually have to genuinely care about the people. And if you don't, and if you genuinely care about the people, then any situation that happens, you'll be able to handle it the right way.
Yeah.
And after watching Miss Dell teach and just seeing like how she actually, when somebody asked her a question, she actually listened to the question. And no matter how crazy or wild the question was, she cared about what the student had to say.
Active listening.
Exactly.
Active listening.
I agree.
And finding some common ground knowledge. And so that's why I come in and say sarcasm sometimes is just best to leave it out.
I mean, if it gets to that point where you can't talk to that person, I can understand that completely.
Well,
But it'd be like this. It got to that point. And be like, hold on just a second. Let me back up. I'm gonna go get someone to help you to solve this problem.
and that can help. But remove them from that situation, because you don't want an angry client in front of other clients. You don't want an angry client in front of other customers,
right?
Other staff members,
right?
Remove them from the situation as best as possible, because what we all know, some people like an audience, and when they have an audience, they feel
get
more
hyped.
You feel more brave.
For real.
Somebody in the back's always like, yeah, tell 9 times out of 10, somebody like, yeah.
Bet you won't do that.
Talk about something like
throw gas on the fire.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate, but there are some people who go to protest and they sit in the back and they throw stones and you never see them.
Yo, they're the first ones leaving.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're gone. It's like, man, that was me. You see that rock? I threw that. I threw that right there.
No, they wouldn't even do that. They wouldn't even do that.
I'm talking about after they got home and stuff.
Yeah.
After everything went down.
They at home watching TV, say,
yeah, I started that right there. Check that out.
So
you can't see me, but I started that.
So listening to what we just talking about, how important you think it is for people to understand triggers and how to diffuse situation?
Well, you, Craig, your eyebrows starts twitching.
Active listening.
I'm just
You see what I'm saying? He ain't listening.
He ain't listening. Active listening. It's your reputation's on the line. It's at the end of the day, one bad
apple. One bad apple can just ruin everything.
No, a bad comment, a bad conversation, a bad, you know what I'm saying? And it's a time and place for everything.
Right, but don't try to just sit there and just talk over them. Sit there and listen to what they're saying. Let them finish what they're saying, and then comment. Because maybe it's just they want somebody to listen to them.
That's
for sure.
Active listening.
So, I mean, that's just how I see the situation.
Yeah, and reducing the situation, try to minimize it so it can even fade away.
Facts. Sometimes it's just better not to say anything.
Right.
It's like let them get it off their chest.
Right, because like I just said, like you told me, a barber wears many hats.
Right.
Many. And like you just said too, Craig, just let them listen. Maybe they got a bad day at work and they just want to vent to you.
And then
it's not necessarily you trying to solve a problem for them, but let them vent it to you.
So we have a question. Do we have a name for the question for the person? From Courtney.
Oh my God.
Courtney asks, how do you handle angry clients in the school versus the shop?
I think it's the same exact way. It's just no different. The school is your shop.
Yeah.
That is your shop. That is your bit. You are responsible for the reputation of the school, just like you're responsible for the reputation of the shop.
Yes, you're practicing to be your own boss. You're practicing for the work field. So how you practice in school is how you're going to practice, how you're going to play in the shop. So it's important to follow those same rules and regulations to help you get to where you need to be in the shop. Because everything from experience, everything that happens in school, I've seen it happen in the shop. Everything.
Like your coach always told you. It's like, they always say practice makes perfect. It's like, nah, my coach always taught me practice makes permanent.
I mean, it does. It does. And you have to respect that because, and I tell a lot of students, hey, if you have a situation with a client, there's ways to handle it. Let's talk about it. We understand the problem. Now here's some solutions to handle it because it's going to happen again in the shop.
And the only difference I would say between the school and the shop would be that when you're in the shop, it's heavily your reputation. You're more than just the student at the barber school. You're so and so. So it's
Right.
your name is on it.
And some of the things that happen, in the shop and in the school are so similar.
For sure.
But the things in the school that kind of helps the shop, that differentiates, we have all services are performed by student barbers. That's one of the main differences. And that's kind of like an insurance policy for the students. And people still come in disgruntled.
Well,
You
I
know-
mean, I've seen it happen in the school where I go in Bristol. But Miss Dale, shout out to Miss Dale, by the way. She's the true MVP of Bristol School of the barber of the school in Bristol.
Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol.
That's
That's all
right.
you gotta say.
She's the true MVP.
Ms. Dale is MVP.
She handles her. All you gotta do is watch her.
That's because
And-
Miss
and
Dale
she-
goes here. When everybody's here, she's always here.
Yeah.
And she have you crying, apologizing to her.
you know,
All those
and-
years of experience.
Exactly.
I've watched her work. She's wonderful.
and I've heard her on the phone with people, people that ain't happy with their perms, this and that. It's okay, honey. You come back in, you come see me,
We'll
and
take care of
we'll
it.
take care of it. And you just see that. So if you want to know what to do, just all you gotta do is open your eyes up and watch.
Give some shout outs.
Oh,
Oh yeah, shout out to Tasha, my sister Candace, probably my cousin Keisha, but shout out to everybody, even Courtney. I don't even know who Courtney is, but that's
Courtney's
probably
it's probably my
Well, this is
Okay.
it's probably my wife.
Shout out to my sisters and my cousins. Shout out to my homeboy, OG, Rodney.
the question.
G4.
How do I change barbers in the same shop?
Ooh.
I don't understand the question particularly. How do I change barbers?
I think what they're saying is that if you're not happy with the barber that you currently have in the shop and feel like you're happier with a different barber, how would you politely go about switching barbers in the
Yeah,
same
there's
shop?
no hard feelings. You know what I'm saying?
That's tough though. That's tough though.
I mean, for real, we're all adults at the end of the day.
Right.
you need to talk to the barber. I would say I wouldn't just jump chairs. I would try to talk to the barber because you're gonna leave them with that feeling of what have I done
What
exactly.
happened? Yeah.
So the key is have a conversation. Again, and it's the same way. You don't have a conversation in front of everyone. You put them to the side in the office, maybe for lunch or something, a conversation. But those are real life situations that happens all the time.
For sure.
And you have to find out the core of the problem. Now, if it's a problem is something that's gonna hurt the shop, then you have to have a serious conversation.
Mhm.
But I think how you go about things, everybody go about things differently. I tend to kind of want to give everybody extra chance. But I think it's something that you have to sit down and talk to the person about and come to the core of the problem. We have another question coming up.
One thing you want your students to take away when they graduate from school.
Who said that?
Candace.
Candace.
My sister.
One thing I want my students to take away is be of high character and have plenty values and understand the first day that they walk into a barbershop, have to treat it like it's theirs. Treat it like they own the shop.
Right.
I want them to go into the shop, treat that first day like their last, and their last like their first, and make it their everything. That's my favorite quote of all time, and that's in the Jay-Z's lyrics. My
So you
first
stealing
song.
somebody else's sayings,
Oh
right?
man.
Man, this guy
It
right
is,
here.
man.
What's wrong with that guy?
So-
Yeah, that's it.
So,
That's
so you
AJ, bro.
stealing somebody else's words now, huh?
We're gonna have to cite people on the podcast.
I did.
He did say Jay-Z.
Yeah, and I've said it several times, so
Yeah.
everybody knows it. But
He,
I think
he claimed the Allstate one though. How does he do that? He just like
yeah,
I told you, me and Allstate got to understand it, man.
yeah, I want them to leave with plenty values and and Just plenty self-worth. Understand that this industry is a great industry. You have to love it and give your all to it. Don't play with it.
Right. And I was just thinking about that one question. It's like, changing barbers. Maybe it's not even changing, man, in a hurry. And you just started on the client and they need to get out of there.
Right.
Just ask and be like, is there something, I did wrong, after they're done with their cut.
Right.
And it could have been something
Oh,
simple.
so it's a different. How do I change barbers in the shop? So if you're not happy with your haircut, how do you go to another barber?
But it ain't necessarily, it can be that they wasn't happy.
If it's not even that. Sometimes you go into a shop, you see someone cutting better than the other barber, and just simply politely, hey, have a conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, go to your barber and say, hey, I'd like to try MI out. That's simple.
Or even if you want to give your barber another chance to say, hey, will you cut my hair kind of like he did? What's his name?
Right. But some people, and a lot of times it's the vibe that the barber gives off. If he's not friendly, it's not even a lot of times to cut. Because if you have a client, after a while they come for more than just a cut.
Exactly.
They come for the conversation. They come for the
laughter,
the vibe.
Yeah.
They come for someone to listen to them.
They come to see me, baby.
They come to relax.
They come to relax.
Just get away.
Yeah, they come to see the tank top and AJ's guns. That's it. This guy right here.
Hey,
Sun's out, guns out.
Don't be hating just because I'm losing weight. You not
Courtney, this guy right here.
Sun's
don't
out,
be
guns
happy.
out.
Sun's out, guns out.
That's right. Don't be happy.
You gonna block the moon?
I've been in the school and the one thing that I think that I seen, like when I talk to people, the one thing that I want them to know is that, like, the people when they first get there, get so insecure with their work and about how they carry themselves. But like, I feel like if you just be yourself, then
trust the process.
Exactly. Then eventually your haircut's going to be where they want to be. The clientele that you want's going to be there. The environment that you want's going to be there.
Yes.
You got to plant the seed, baby.
Trust the process, because the people who are there for you, the staff, the instructors, they've been there.
Craig.
Understand that we're going to put you in the right position because we love our jobs. At least at both my schools, all my instructors are invested. They love what they do. I love what I do. So I can almost guarantee you by the time you leave school, you will be able to cut hair. I haven't seen one of my students yet leave school and not be able to perform like they want to perform in the shop.
And be just as hungry the day you came in when you leave.
Amen.
Yes.
Stay hungry.
Yep.
Make your first like your last, and make your last like your first, and make that your everything. Your first day you walk into the school should be like the last day you walk into the school. As hungry as you are then your first day, you want to be the master barber. When you leave, you should want to be a master barber even more.
Yeah.
And make that last day like you came in. And then make that your everything, and you'll be okay. Just trust the process.
Yeah. Don't lose that energy.
Don't lose that energy. Streamline, focus.
Never that.
Yeah.
And stay around positive people, positive vibe. That negativity ain't gonna get you anywhere.
No, get you a mentor, get your people in the industry who's doing well, and then set your sights on something different. Whether it may be an instructor, whether it may be a shop owner, whether it may be one day owning 2 shops, owning a school, whatever it may be. Because one thing I also tell my students, when they leave Crown Cutz, they part of the family for life. You part of this fraternity for life.
You cooking dinner tonight?
There you go, man. You see what I'm saying? Courtney, please cook for that man, please.
Somebody pick him up. Somebody gonna get him.
Courtney, put some steak in the blender. So you can
you know I ain't
strong.
You know better than that, Craig.
2 raw eggs.
You know. I ain't Rocky.
Kale.
Almond milk.
I ain't Rocky. I think I'm Rocky or something. 2 eggs.
Hey, drink that on the go.
Please.
That's why I love the podcast. You get a little bit of laughter at times. So, I mean, we've been there for an hour now. You don't seem like it.
No.
So you got first time. Emma's been on this time, my coach. What do you think? What was your feeling before you come on the podcast?
What was I feeling? I was feeling good, man. I couldn't wait. I was hyped. You know, I'm hyped. I'm always hyped to try out new things, though. You know,
always.
I'm hyped. I got the same energy. Mike knows I got the same energy
all the time
in school as I right now, and you should know. You should know because. Hold on.
I'm just taking it all in.
Mike said all the time.
All the time.
Hold on.
Energizer.
Craig, when you was cutting hair, Tell me you didn't like it when I was about to walk through the door, bitch. You knew you was in for a laugh. Come on, I mean, be honest, Craig.
Was that it, or was you the one that everybody was like, oh man?
Nah.
I'm just kidding. I'm capping. I'm capping.
here he
Nah,
comes.
I'm
shots
capping.
fired.
I'm capping.
Hey,
Yeah.
Lethal, can you do shots fired?
That's why. Hey, look. That's why you can't do sarcasm. That's why you can't do sarcasm.
He used to get his hair cut and he'd start licking his fingers on his eyebrows.
Hey,
And talking about
hey.
he might not be the best pencil in the box or some shit. He might be something crazy. I'm like, man. I'm like,
Hey, but don't. At the end of the day, you made me feel that way,
Right.
dog.
And
You know,
that's- and-
for real, you made, and that's the thing of a barber. You make that person feel that way.
and that's what we talk about, because when you make that person feel that way
Uh-huh.
through the consultation, the vibe, a lot of disputes are less likely to happen.
Exactly.
It's less likely to happen. So through the consultation, the constant interaction and feeling that person vibe. Sometimes some people might not want to talk, but that rarely happens.
But that breaks the ice right there.
that-
That consultation.
Yes.
That's the
Uh-huh.
first thing that breaks the ice. As soon as they sit down, you know, after you done greeted them and everything, you start with the consultation, and you sitting there having a conversation with them. You know, that just breaks the ice. Don't let them just sit there and not say nothing. You just looking over their head. You know.
So true story. Last week, a student was asking me, Craig, I was talking to this guy, I was cutting his hair, and I could not get through to him. How did you get through to him? I was like, I just came up simple questions. What's your name? How you doing? Where are you from? And I think the guy said he was from Nigeria. So I was like, what part of Nigeria? Abuja or Lagos? And he lit up. So the point, I said to say this: find a common ground with a client.
Mm-hmm.
Find a common ground. And once you find a common ground, attack it. Find a common ground that you have with that client, something that you know that they know, and attack it. He's from Nigeria. I know Nigeria, the country.
You ever been there?
No, but I know a lot about
I
the
know,
country.
but have you been to Africa though?
Not yet.
Oh.
But I read and I study a lot. So there's not too much information I don't know. Because when you're a barber, I think it's important to try to get as much information as possible.
Know a little bit about everything.
A little about everything.
Renaissance man.
A little
That's
bit about
me.
everything. You know what I mean? And just having a conversation with him about the Flying Eagles. That's because, soccer is the most popular sport in the world. So just letting them know I know a little bit about the Flying Eagles, which is the World Cup national team. It lit him up.
Mm-hmm.
And the student could not get through to the guy, but just try to find a common ground.
I
There's
mean,
questions you can ask.
That type of individual, you could ask about the food, anything like that.
But not just ask about it. Find something that you and them have a common ground on.
Right.
It might be history. It might be chemistry. It might be watches. Just try to find a common ground, because typically everyone are just like 2 degrees of separation. We all are just 2 degrees from separation. Find a common ground. And I said to say this: go out there and inquire, find information for yourself. As a barber, I think every barber should read as much as they can. Grab information on a worldly scale, not just on a local, national, but on a worldly scale. Because when you start grabbing information like that, you're going to meet so many clients from around the world, around the country, that you could have something common with.
Mm-hmm.
Because that helps break the ice. That helps solve disputes. That helps level the vibe. It helps dilute so many situations. So what did you learn from this podcast today, Mike?
Just really try to handle situations, with difficult people,
Right.
and that y'all were just absolutely silly. So, but I did like the information, the input everybody put in on it.
Right.
You can always learn something every day, and especially in the barbershop.
What'd you get from this today, AJ?
Well, I got from today is that never go up to the client's voice. If your voice is way down low, monotone, and they see that, that make them calm down a lot more. So I learned that. But I also learned a long time ago that if the levels go up, the listings go down. They're not gonna be nobody's gonna be able to listen. Both people are yelling. They're not gonna listen or retain each other's information as well if they was on a common
Facts.
level.
People, both y'all yelling, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm
then
saying?
you can't hear anything.
You
You're not
can't
getting
hear
out of
anything. You're not going to be able to retain the information like Craig is giving to me or me giving to Craig. And if it goes that far, forget yelling. If the person gets mad, they really ain't listening.
Right.
Facts.
So I learned that to keep my voice down low, and strive on that, and that's what I'm gonna try to do. Keep.
But
my
I do
voice.
like what Craig said about that. It's like speak to the point where, like, maybe they didn't even hear what you said, and that'll bring the tone down real quick. It's like, hold on, what? What did you say? Just bringing it down to that level where they had to bring down their tone of voice just so they could actually hear what you said, and you didn't even say anything confrontational. You were just trying to bring it down. That could really resolve a situation real quick too.
Yes. What you get from the MI?
Active listening. If you start from that, from the very beginning, from the first time you consultate with the very first client, and until you're done cutting their hair, if you do that consistently, then a lot of times you'll avoid the problems that you're dealing with to begin with. But then sometimes, those days that you do have those problems that continue, you need to make a decision that is this person's money worth my comfort inside and where I work or where I learn at. So.
Of course, you have to be true to yourself. You have to be true to your establishment. You have to be true to your coworkers. You have to be true to your clients. Yep. So
I'm glad he learned active listening because he don't be listening. I'm just messing with you, man.
Here goes that sarcasm again.
Yeah, I'm messing with you. I had to hit you with it.
So as you know, all good things got to come to an end, and everybody who's been in the podcast has to come back again. I think we're
most deaf. Don't do that.
Yeah, like this.
We have season 1, 2, and 3.
You know that I'm gonna be the most requested person to come back to the podcast. But do we give shout outs at the end?
Yeah, give your shout outs.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. I'll give Mike first.
Oh,
are you pulling a piece of paper?
I like
out?
to shout out to my sisters, especially. I really appreciate that. Appreciate the questions and everything else. Shout out to my daughter, Michaela, and everybody that's listening. And I sent, the invitation for people to listen to.
And tell
shout out to you, man. I really appreciate.
And tell
you.
people where they can find you, what you do.
Oh, you can find me at Crown Cutz in Bristol.
805 Commonwealth Avenue.
Yeah, you know the address. I don't know the address, but you can always Google it. Oh. Oh yeah, man. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out my man G4, man. You told me to shout you out, but my sister love y'all, man. I really appreciate everybody.
Yep, and go ahead, AJ.
My first shout out was going to my homie Craig Charles, boy. Hey, look, this dude right here has got a big heart. He loves people and he loves his craft. That's my first shout. My next shout out,
and he loves money.
My next shout out
is
going to my wife, Courtney. I love you, baby. All my kids, baby. Thank you for supporting me. Also, go check me out on my Instagram at Heavenly Clips 7. That is Heavenly Clips 7. Check me out.
Yes, sir. You want any last things you want to say, Am I?
The card is official. I don't know if I can follow that up. That card is official. Yeah,
I appreciate that, man.
I'm happy to be here with y'all, man. I like talking to y'all. I'm glad y'all made it.
Again, Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cutz Academy, JC and Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol. Come check us out. We're enrolling students every month at both locations. We have check out our Instagram, check out our Facebook page. We do accept financial aid, FAFSA, and Pell Grants. And we do have flexible payment plans, in-house payments. If you'd like, hit us up at 423-461-0004. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook again. Come see us. Think about changing a career. I think it's important for people to understand this barbering industry. It's a great thing. It's love.
Not only a career, but check out the cuts.
Check out the cuts. I went to a barber show this weekend and they had this battle. I thought it was so great. It was a Nas battle. All the haircuts were cuts. And they played his whole album, his whole catalog for like an hour and a half straight. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's nice right
That's
there.
deep.
Yeah, but again,
So they had the Wiz Kid and I'm playing that and all that.
I mean, it was nice. It was. I think everyone needs to go to a hair show, a barber show, whenever they get a chance to, and participate if you're a student. That's going to set you apart. That's going to put you in the next level. Again, Barber College Success, brought to you by myself, Craig Charles, and my co-host, Mr. Am I the Man? Will I Am. We're going to come out with another hot episode next week again. Come check us out. Spreading love the JC way, the only way Crown Cutz know how to do it. Peace.